Hello friends, welcome to Manu Law Classes. मेरा नाम गौतम दीक्षित है. Now today in this video we are going to discuss the important news from the Hindu edition of 25th March 2023. So let's start with the news first. The first is that Rahul disqualified as member of parliament. Congress calls it black day for democracy. So earlier, that is yesterday, we had done this news. We had discussed about the various Supreme Court judgment and Section 8(4) of the Representation of People's Act 1951 and Section 8(3) of the Representation of People's Act 1951. तो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखेंगे, let's take the news first from the year that a day after the Chief Judicial Magistrates Court in Surat convicted former Congress President Rahul Gandhi in a criminal defamation case. Okay, so these are criminal defamation case over his Modi surname remark. The Lok Sabha Secretariat on Friday issued a notification to disqualify Mr. Gandhi as a Lok Sabha member from Wayanad. Okay, so if we will see over here, it is very important. Basic questions आ सकता है that he was the member of parliament from which constituency. So it is Wayanad in Kerala. ठीक है, so that is important. Now coming to the case, again we will have a revision over here. ये case को हम थोड़ा सा समझते हैं कि ये क्या है और ये डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन जो होता है ये किस एक्ट के अंदर होता है. सो देयर इज सेक्शन 8(3) ऑफ रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल्स एक्ट. ओके, रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल्स एक्ट 1951. ठीक है, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है 1951. अब इसमें जो है हम सेक्शन अगर 8(3) में जाएं तो सेक्शन 8(3) में ये है कि दैट इफ एनी पर्सन हु इज convicted in a case who's in a criminal case whose imprisonment is of 2 years or more than that, so that person is liable to be disqualified to become the member of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha or state legislature. Okay, and he will remain disqualified, means that person will remain disqualified till 6 years after his or her release. Why? So for example, let's suppose take a person X now who has been convicted in a case in a criminal case whose imprisonment is 2 years or above. Now that person will be disqualified to become the member of state legislature or parliament. Again, ये जो disqualification है ये कब तक चलेगा? So suppose that person is released from a jail after some time, for example for 2 years, after serving imprisonment for 2 years that person is released. So from that date of release up to next 6 years, अगले 6 साल तक that person will be disqualified to become the member of state legislature or parliament. So this section was brought in the Representation of People's Act 1951 to check the criminalization of politics. Fine. Earlier there was one more section which is called as section 8(4). So section 8(4) जो था, इसने यहाँ पे एक जो important चीज थी वो ये थी कि members who are currently the members of the state legislature or parliament, their disqualification will not take place for next 3 months, and in the meantime if they get their sentence suspended or or their sentence remitted or commuted, or they get stay order on that sentence itself, so they will not be disqualified. But this section 8(4), it was nullified by the Supreme Court in Lily Thomas versus Union of India case 2013. Now coming to the next important news, Supreme Court to hear Bilkis Banu's petition on March 27. So the Supreme Court bench of Justice K.M. Joseph and V.V. Nagaratna is scheduled on March 27 to hear petitions, including one by Bilkis Banu. So Bilkis Banu, she is challenging the premature release of 11 men who were sentenced to life imprisonment for her gang rape during the 2002 Gujarat riots. Okay, तो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखेंगे that this case, so it was referred back to Chief Justice after Justice Bila Trivedi, the associate judge accompanying Justice Rastogi, rescued herself from hearing both Ms. Banu's petition and those filed by several individuals including Subhashini Ali and others. Fine. तो ये जो case है, it is about the premature release of 11 persons. So 11 persons, they were convicted in the gang rape case of Bilkis Banu, and then they were given life imprisonment. Okay, but their sentence was remitted. Okay, their sentence was remitted in Gujarat. Okay, so ये जो remission जो उनको मिल गया था, it means ending their life in the sentence which they were serving. तो ये remission के against जो है वो petition file हुआ है सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, which सुप्रीम कोर्ट is now going to hear. The next is a very important. Government extends rupees 200 subsidy under PM Ujjwala Yojana by 1 year. So the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, they have approved the extend the subsidy of rupees 200 per 14.2 kg LPG cylinder under Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana for the next 1 year. The move comes in the backdrop of high prices of petroleum products in the international market, and this move is going to benefit 9.6 करोड़ वुमेन. अभी जो सब्सिडी है इट विल बी गिवन अप टू 12 रुपीज पर ईयर. तो अगर 12 सिलेंडर्स को ये सब्सिडी मिलेगी रुपीज 200 वाला. कमिंग टू अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इशू, इंडिया फेल टू क्रिएट पॉजिटिव इंप्रेशन अमंग बिजनेसेस मूविंग अवे फ्रॉम चाइना. सो यहाँ पे राज्यसभा में एक रिपोर्ट टेबल हुआ है. ओके, इट वाज इट इज अ पार्लियामेंट्री पैनल ऑन कॉमर्स व्हिच हैज प्रिपेयर्ड अ रिपोर्ट. So it is called as departmental related standing committee. So this panel on commerce, which is the part of Rajya Sabha. So now they have reported that India has not been able to create a positive impression among businesses moving away from China. So the report has said that India has not been able to take advantage of China plus one strategy through which multinationals shifted manufacturing and production away from China. It has said that other Southeast Asian countries such as Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia and Malaysia, they have become bigger beneficiaries of the strategy. So India says that the report says that India's competitive position in the pharmaceutical sector is undermined by its high import dependence for bulk drugs or active pharmaceutical ingredients, especially from China. तो इंडिया में जो फार्मास्यूटिकल कंपनीज जिनका जो ग्रोथ बहुत ही ज़्यादा है इंडिया में, बट here also the growth is, there is one factor, a limiting factor, that India still depends on China for the supply of active pharmaceutical ingredients which are crucial for making drugs in India. Okay, the next it says that the import increased despite the border row with China since mid 2020, that is Galwan Valley clash, when 20 Indian soldiers were killed in violent clashes with Chinese soldiers in Ladakh's Galwan Valley. Now this committee, it was headed by Congress leader Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Now coming to a very important scheme that is called as product linked incentive schemes. So the report says that certain steps, now the government is saying that the certain steps such as product linked incentive schemes have the capability to make India a more attractive location for companies looking to diversify their supply chains away from China. It means that there are certain schemes which can attract the foreign companies in India. One of those are product linked incentive scheme. Fine. Next, what the government is doing is that it is simplifying the compliances on businesses. It is called as ease of doing business. Okay, and improving the overall business environment in the country. Then it says there is a very important bill which has been introduced, which is called as Jan Vishwas Bill. So Jan Vishwas Bill, it will amend 42 central acts to enhance trust-based governance. So 3,500 provisions have been decriminalized by the ministries and the states, and okay, and the Jan Vishwas Bill, it will amend the 42 central acts to decriminalize certain provisions to enhance ease of doing business. Then the report has recommended certain steps to reform the business sector. First is rationalization of direct taxes and indirect taxes in sync with international norms and laws. Then government must pursue free or preferential trade agreements with those countries that seek to invest in India under China plus one strategy. Then the government has informed that India has signed 13 free trade agreements and 6 preferential trade agreements, and then FTA negotiations are going on with UK, Canada and European Union. The next, a very important news, membership of banned outfit is crime under UAPA, says Supreme Court. So now it is a very important judgment, okay, which is very important to understand the application of UAPA for members. So a 3-judge bench of the Supreme Court has clarified that a person who is or continues to be even a member of the banned organization is liable for a criminal liability under Unlawful Activities Prevention Act UAPA 1965. Now this judgment is very important, okay. सो अगर आप पहले जो देखेंगे, सो यहाँ पे जो पहले जो जजमेंट थे, तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज सेट असाइड अ सीरीज ऑफ इट्स ओन जजमेंट. तो पहले के जजमेंट में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा था कि बीइंग अ मेंबर, ओके, नॉट एन एक्टिव मेंबर, जस्ट बीइंग अ मेंबर does not make a person to get conviction under UAPA Act, okay, but Now the Supreme Court has said the otherwise. So if you will see, the Supreme Court says that a person choosing to continue as a member despite knowing about the ban is acting against the sovereignty of the nation. Then such a person cannot later claim that the law has a chilling effect on his fundamental right of association, which is given by Article 19(4) of the Constitution. So Article 19(4) क्या कहता है? Article 19(4) it mandates that every citizen they have the right to form union or association, but it was subject to power of the state to make laws to impose reasonable restrictions in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of India and public order and morality. Now, second is, there is one important thing that court has clarified, that persons who had left the organization and were not member at the time it was declared unlawful cannot be held liable under section 10A(1) of the UAPA. Now there is an exception also. It means the person who continues to be the member of the banned organization, they are liable to be prosecuted, but the one who were the members but they left the member when it was declared unlawful, they will not be liable. Now, under which section of the UAPA the central government declares any organization or association is unlawful? So that is section 3 of the UAPA Act. The next is ICMR releases ethical guidelines for AI usage in healthcare. So the Indian Council of Medical Research, they have released the country's first ethical guidelines for application of artificial intelligence in biomedical research and healthcare. See, so whenever we are using technology for biomedical research and healthcare, there is always an ethical issue involved. These ethical issues should be resolved before we start the application of AI in health sector for delivery of health services and for research. So these guidelines, okay, so they promote the ethical application of artificial intelligence in these two fields, that is biomedical research and healthcare. So it aims to develop an ethical framework which will assist in development, deployment and adoption of AI-based solutions in these two fields. The next is that this document, it has been prepared by the Department of Health Research and the ICMR Artificial Intelligence Cell, Delhi. Now, the next is GISAID temporarily lifts ban on authors of Zenodo report. Now, GISAID, now what is GISAID? Fine. So, it is a body which collects the data, the genomics data on avian influenza. Okay, it is located in Munich in Germany. Munich in Germany. It was established in 2008. So it is a global initiative on sharing in avian influenza data. So it is an open access influenza genome database launched in 2008. तो यहाँ पे जो Zenodo report है, तो एक report है Zenodo report which highlighted the origin of COVID-19 with certain animals. Okay, so there was a report, Zenodo report. So this report was published, but later GISAID it imposed ban on authors, okay, who had compiled this Zenodo report. But now GISAID has temporarily lifted ban on authors of Zenodo report. Okay, so ये जो report है, it talks about food market in Wuhan, that certain foods they were infected by animals and they may be the reservoir of COVID-19 from where the COVID-19 has spread. If you will see that in world there are two views about COVID-19. One is that this virus, COVID-19 virus, it originated from a lab in Wuhan. The second is that it may have come from animals, it may have been transferred from animals to humans. So this Zenodo report here, it talks about the zoonotic causes of the spread of COVID-19 virus, not the lab made theories. The next is rupees 10 crore penalty on Kerala for failure to protect Ramsar sites. So we know that Ramsar sites, so Ramsar Convention 1971, it is related with protection of wetlands. So we celebrate World Wetland Day on 2nd February. Okay, even in Union budget there is one scheme which has been announced for sustainable utilization of wetland called as Amrit Dharohar. Okay, that scheme is Amrit Dharohar. Now here The principal bench of National Green Tribunal in New Delhi has slapped a penalty of rupees 10 crore on the Kerala government for its failure to check the indiscriminate pollution of two lakes which are Ramsar sites. They are in Kerala. One is Vembanad and the next is Ashtamudi lakes which are listed as Ramsar sites. So the bench was led by chairperson Adarsh Kumar Goyal. So now this news is very important for you, that who is the chairperson of National Green Tribunal. Then it is Adarsh Kumar Goyal. So this penalty was imposed on the basis of polluter pays principle, okay, and it has to be deposited in a ring-fenced account to be operated under the authority of Chief Secretary. Okay, so National Green Tribunal, it is a statutory body established. Okay, so it does not follow the procedures of CRPC. The procedures of NGPT is based on climate justice or principle of natural justice. So it is based on the principle of natural justice. So it is not followed by the it does not follow the procedures of criminal procedure code. Okay, the procedures are based on natural justice. Now the principal bench of National Green Tribunal, it is in Delhi, and then we have other branches or benches of NGT. One is in Kolkata, then in Chennai, then we have in Bhopal, and then in Pune. Then next is Hotel Rwanda hero Rusesabagina to be released from prison. So Paul Rusesabagina, he was the manager of a hotel in Rwanda, and he played a very key role in protecting the people during the Rwandan genocide. So he's also known as Hotel Rwanda hero, and he's a fearless critic. And now he was sentenced to 25-year jail sentence. Now the Rwandan government is going to commute his sentence very soon. The next is that China says it does not ask companies for foreign data as row over TikTok grows. Now, few days back we had learned that TikTok is already banned in India. It is also banned in US. It is also banned in European Union, and now UK has moved to ban TikTok on for the government officials. Okay, so now यहाँ पे चाइना जो है it is saying that it does not ask companies like TikTok to hand over data gathered overseas, as the Chinese owned TikTok faces mounting calls for a ban in the US. Pressure is building on the massive popular video sharing app. Okay, तो यहाँ पर आप देखेंगे that TikTok के जो CEO हैं Shou Zhi, so he has faced questioning from US lawmakers on both sides of the political aisle over the app's ties to China and its danger to teens. So now यहाँ पे अगर आप एक क्वेश्चन देखेंगे that this TikTok, it is owned by which Chinese firm, उसका नाम क्या है, which owns China TikTok, so it is ByteDance. The next is from economy. G20 sees inflation as sticky to extend policy tightening. So यहाँ पे अगर आप देखेंगे that after European Central Bank and US Federal Reserve, the US Federal Reserve, they have moved by tightening their monetary policy. They have raised the benchmark interest rate. Now our chief economic advisor V. Anantha Nageshwaran, he has said that most G20 countries, they see inflation as the major challenge. Being sticky means persisting inflation. Okay, and then they are going to have a tight monetary policy to check the inflation. Okay, now the next important news is GST Appellate Tribunal. So Lok Sabha has passed a Finance Bill 2023 which approves the setting up of GST Appellate Tribunal. So the principal bench will be in New Delhi, and each state will have the benches of Appellate Tribunal, and they are going to hear appeals related to place of supply. Earlier we had read that these GST Appellate Tribunals, they will be headed by the retired Supreme Court judges or Chief Justice of High Court. So they will be established after passing of the Finance Bill 2023. Now this GST Appellate Tribunal, okay, they had not been set up since the passing of the GST Act in 2016 and established and effective since 2017. But now the setting up of this GST Appellate Tribunal, they will lower the burden on High Courts, Supreme Court, and they will provide reprieve to taxpayers. So friends, that's all for today. We will meet on next week again with the daily Hindu analysis. Till then, have a nice time. Take care. Thank you.